marketer, business advisor, and supply chain expert. And welcome back to my podcast, The Morning Mood. And we are back with Bryan for another episode of Pack It Up, Pack It In. And today we are going to be talking about when do you need more than one warehouse? Right, Bryan?
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Well, we're bringing this up because this is one of the number one questions we get.
It is.
I know my clients, when I sign on with them, one of the things they always talk about is, well, we need to be bi-coastal so that we'll save on shipping, is almost always where they're going with this one. And my poor little clients sometimes are shipping like 500 orders a month, and they have no business even thinking about bi-coastal. So, Bryan, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, let's take a step back for a second because I have a question for you. Do you feel like this idea of let's just call it chasing Amazon is dead?
Ooh,
I know because
not
I
yet.
feel like that's not yet. I feel like a lot of this stems from a lack of maybe I don't want to say insight, but it's a very surface level comment of like, hey, we need multiple warehouses. So
Yep.
we try to unpack it and figure out, okay, where's the sentiment coming from and why. And I think for the longest time, at least the last 5 to 7 years, everyone was enamored, rightly so, with Amazon's success and having a bazillion locations and getting product delivered in the next
Yeah.
7 or 8 hours or whatever that is. So my thought was, is that dead? Have the consumer habits shifted? Do people really want and need their products immediately? And
So
so, yeah,
that's
curious
interesting.
what you think about that
That's
because
a good point. Let's talk about that because you're right. If we roll back about 7 years, Amazon was pushing real hard for that one same day delivery, right? One
the
day
2 day,
delivery.
right?
Yeah, but it
Prime was
was
the big,
they
yeah.
Prime had done 2 day, right? That was kind of standard. And then Amazon kind of upped the ante to same day and next day. And they were really pushing that. But if you'll notice in the last 12 to 18 months, they've rolled that back.
The funny thing is I predicted that as a joke that there would be a day that would come when eventually, because what's new is what's old is new, right? That
Yeah.
I made a joke that Amazon would start paying people to wait longer.
And they did.
Okay, and that's exactly what's going. So have you ever been checked? You're checking out, and they're like,
Yeah.
if you'll wait 12 hours, we'll give you a credit for
A
like
dollar
a
50.
music download. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so they're actually doing that themselves.
Yeah.
So they're just always a lot of they're in front of everything, and then
Mhm.
everyone's kind of chasing that a little bit, so the 2 day thing, the whole idea of 3PLs and warehouses in general placing themselves in, let's say Louisville or Memphis and then Utah or Nevada, like was this idea that you can get 98% of the country in 2 days.
Yeah.
And even back then I was starting to notice, in my conversations with clients, I just said, well, hey, like you say you might want this, but I was noticing a consumer trend that was, I don't, let's say basically anybody under 40 was saying like ordering stuff. No, different generation that was like, hey, just as long as it shows up within the week, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would ask, like, to me in the market, there seems to be these two different paths, which is, you order something from Amazon, there's an expectation of XYZ, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
And so like I grew up in the world, the eBay world where, when the internet was new and, people would buy stuff and refresh their tracking number literally every 4 hours
Yeah.
because maybe they didn't trust it. Maybe they didn't, the carriers weren't as good. I don't know. But the point is there was an obsession with when is it getting here? When is it getting here? And what I noticed with even myself and even younger friends, we stopped caring about that as much. Um, and again, like, it's like if I order something from Amazon, it just shows up later today or tomorrow. And it became kind of I don't know, we just got used to it. And then
You don't have to
everybody
think about
else,
it.
yeah, well, everybody
It's
else is
there.
like, it just shows up and gets delivered.
Yeah.
Now, there's a consensus around this idea that if something goes into that second weekend, then you have a problem. I
Yes.
order, yeah, and so that's still an issue in terms of delivery times. When you order something online, let's say I order that dreaded Thursday order that gets fulfilled and maybe picked up on Friday, doesn't get into the sort systems till the the weekend,
Yeah.
UPS, but whatever, and then it doesn't get delivered that next Friday, then I start to think, where's my stuff?"
Yeah, that's when you start missing it. It's about a 5 to 7 days
Yeah,
where that's kind of the customer tolerance for something to be delivered. And you're
right,
right, while people enjoy having something delivered second day, next day, it's really about need,
right.
less about,
Well,
wanting it to be the
yeah.
next. Yeah.
Right. So I guess okay, so that covers the two sides that I when I think about do you need multiple warehouses, there's
Yeah.
this the first side is what do your customers expect? What do they need? What do they want? And
Yep.
what are you trying to accomplish in having a 2-day delivery? And
Yeah.
so if you put that aside for, bringing it back to the warehouse need, if that's not an issue, then the second thing is cost.
Yes.
All right. And so now you're talking about, your parcel profile and your product profile. How much does your stuff weigh? You know, what are the cost and benefits from being zone 1, 2, and 3 with the parcel carriers versus zone 8? Okay, if you have one warehouse, you're gonna have let's say you're in Dallas,
You're
you're gonna
gonna
have
hit zone 8 at some point.
zone 7s at least. Yeah. So there's an extra
Yeah.
cost. But then it's
Yeah.
like, what is that cost?
But what
Is
is
that
the
30 is
cost?
that right? Is that are you shipping out apparel and that's 30 cents and
Right.
or are you shipping out heavy products? So there's 3 components to this. It's delivery expectation, then you get into the cost. And then that cost would be the first cost would be the cost of parcel, which has everything to do with your dimensions and how much your products weigh. And then that third cost, the hidden cost that nobody talks about is the cost of your actual your supply chain,
Yes.
your cost of goods sold. And
Yes.
do you have the inventory financing to carry
Double
if
inventory.
yeah, if it's not exactly double, you would like to think it's not double. You would like to think you have statistics, that would
Way
show you that
double.
80% or whatever it is. Um, and can you carry multiple sets of inventory in multiple locations feasibly without wrecking your entire business? And
Yeah.
what I've found is that that's a big trifecta for
Yep.
most companies. Um, I think that when you're just anecdotally, when you looking at weights, it tends to make sense over 4 to 6 pounds. Let's say 1,000 orders a day. You want to start to seriously look at having a
Yeah.
second node and what's that going to cost you? Because what happens a lot of times is if companies can't manage their supply chain, upstream, meaning like with their manufacturer, getting the amount of product, getting in the right warehouse, then what you have is you have, a shortage in Utah and you have to
Yeah.
ship from the New York facility
Yeah.
and then it's actually more expensive than it would have been
If we'd
not
put
ju
something in Illinois, like we talked about
right,
the first time.
correct. Um, the companies that I've seen do it moderately well, like Dr. Squatch did it well, but they were USA manufacturer. So
Yes.
this is where it starts to get into like, okay, like maybe it does make sense to have supply chains in America if you
It
want to have two
does.
multiple nodes, if you can create your product. Like, yeah, so they had a lot. If you have a low cost of goods sold product,
Yeah.
soap, made in America, and you can ramp up your production. You see again, you're controlling your supply chain. If you're
Yeah.
bringing stuff in from China or Thailand or Vietnam, that's a totally different ball game.
Totally
And
different.
yeah, so now we're back to a very less than 5% of companies that I engage with probably really need two nodes, and
2 nodes.
they tend to be selling televisions and
And
over dimensioned product
yep.
that weighs out 'cause then the cost is so great. The difference between shipping like even a 20-pound package,
Yeah.
if you're shipping 20-pound packages out every single day,
Yeah.
I think 2 nodes does or, again, anecdotally makes sense.
It makes sense.
Um,
The other thing we have to think about is order mix too, right? So if you're just ordering a
Splitting
one to
orders, you
one,
mean? Yeah,
yeah, how many items and if you're a one to
correct.
one item per order, again, great opportunity. TVs, that's why the TVs fall into that category. It's one item per shipment. But when you start getting into people who sell a lot of apparel,
Yeah, when I mean, I maybe I have a bias at this point, but if I'm going into a first conversation with an apparel or footwear brand, I'm almost always expecting to try to educate a little bit. And
yeah,
there's no edge. we Barrett has locations all over the country.
Yep.
It's not an angle of mine. It's more of an education opportunity to say, "Hey, let's really look at these numbers,
Do you really need it?
and do you really need it? And do you and what's the cost? It's not just, a 3PL cost. It's your supply chain costs."
Inventory costs, it's your
Um,
courier costs, it's your
yeah.
distribution costs, because you have to ship it to multiple locations now, right? It's not just one location like you were doing it before.
Yep.
You have to distribute your inventory. You have
Do you
to
even and by the way, Kim, do you even want your inventory distributed? So my
yeah,
question for you is what's gonna happen to all these 3PLs out there who their whole selling point was multiple nodes? I don't wanna name names today, but, like, there's some companies that are literally trying to do exactly what Amazon's doing, which is
yeah,
using AI and using software to actually take your inventory and throw it out to 30 locations. Do you want that?
right.
What do you think about that? Like, if you're running
There's
like, how do
no
you
benefit to
like,
that.
how do you do a
There's
PI how do you do a PI, by the way? Like, how do
right.
you do there's a lot
So
of other
now you
yeah.
and you're right. So there's these companies who are out there trying to sell it, and now they're trying to sell you software to say, "Oh, but we'll manage your inventory for you, and
Yeah.
we'll predict when you need to buy, and we'll predict where it needs to go, and we'll do all this doing AI." But you have to look at what is the benefit that you're getting. What is and you're making that face. I know that face. You're
I
right.
don't
There is
know.
none. When you actually lay it out, this is why I wanted to have this conversation
Yeah.
today because when you actually start laying out penny per penny per penny per penny per penny from the PO to the customer's door, and you lay that out with a single node, and then you lay that out with 7 nodes, you almost always are losing money.
It sounds like an ulcer to me. It's
And
actually
it's an
making me
ulcer. Yeah.
it sounds, yeah.
Run
It
the numbers.
I think, yeah, this whole thing was really I don't know, was it pushed by a c like, the idea? It's one of those sounds great things that I don't know was fully thought out very well.
I think
And
you're right.
I don't know how in touch we are sometimes with the consumers in
And what we
general.
actually need.
Our industry yeah, Steve Jobs was good at that, right? Where he was like, I don't know how much we are like, I try to stay really in touch with consumer habits and what people actually need
Yeah.
rather than what they even say they want.
Yeah.
And I don't know, gosh, I mean, when I order stuff from websites, from Instagram brands, they're almost always they're not must-haves.
No.
They're quarter zips and athleisure and shoes that I like and
Enough with the
whatever.
quarter zips. Can we move on from those?
I know.
Oh.
But, like, I think, well, if I really need something, I can pay for overnight shipping too. That's
Right.
another thing that people don't like, people can
I
pay
really want it, I'll pay for it.
people pay an extra 8, $10 for overnight shipping, or I might go to the mall.
Oh my god. God, it
I
was
know. That's coming back, by the way. We should talk about
we
that.
were just talking about that. We're gonna say that for another episode. We were just
Okay,
talking about
but
that,
it's
but that's
related in
that
the sense that, like, okay, if people again, and it's still another reason to not necessarily think you have to have you let's put it this way, you don't have to have multiple nodes to compete.
you don't.
So maybe that should be the takeaway is, maybe eventually if you're shipping out 5,000 orders a day and okay, like, you
We
just
should chat.
you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
The data is what it is, but I can firmly say in 2025, you don't need it to compete to start, and
No.
so that's been the thing that I wanna kill and educate, like, you can do just fine with
Yes.
a single node in Dallas at Barrett or Memphis or Louisville
Or
or whatever, you can do just fine.
whatever. Yeah.
You're not losing ground, and I think
Nope.
that was the big driver for a long time is this fear that if you're not doing exactly what me when
Amazon and
Ama
Walmart are
but
doing.
meanwhile, a lot of these brands don't even wanna be on Amazon.
No.
It's a totally different market, totally different customer base,
Yeah.
and you're not building your brand, so
No.
there you go.
So
What do you
no,
think
I
about
don't
that?
I think you're right. I think people were they want, "Oh, Amazon does it, I have to do it to be successful." I have to your point, I've worked with a few clients to do big and bulky. Oyster traps are one of the things I've done a lot of. Hard to ship, right? Makes sense to keep some on the West Coast for those West Coast customers because it's just a pain in the ass to ship those things. The other thing I think, if you're a e-commerce company out there and you want to look at multiple nodes, You also need to look at all your inbound cost, right? You're gonna pay
Yeah,
double inbounds.
on your drayage, yeah.
Yeah,
You might
you're
even
not
be using 2 different ports. Does that sound like
yeah,
fun?
no.
Bringing stuff into Long Beach and
Ugh.
Jersey?
Or the worst ever, bring it to Long Beach, leave half there, and bring another half across the country. Like, shoot me now.
Well, what really makes me angry is that companies will entertain this too,
Who are promoting it,
to the
and that's
detriment of I know, and that's the educational part for us at Barrett is not getting sucked into that, and I've seen RFPs that are simply like, "This is what we want," like 3
yeah,
nodes, you must have space in Dallas,
yeah,
California, and I'm just like, "It's
in New Jersey.
800 orders a day," and then other 3PLs will go in and play along. That
And be
drives
like, "Oh, yeah, we can do
that
that. We'll
drives
do
me
that
crazy.
for you. That's no
Yeah, yeah.
problem."
That drives me crazy
I think
because,
that
from a sales perspective, we're fighting that bias, but I can honestly say most of the time, it's not we can do it. It's just, like, getting people off that I get upset that companies aren't I don't know, do you think they believe it too? I don't maybe they do. I don't
no,
know.
I agree, and I get upset about this too, and I can't tell you how many companies I've rescued from almost doing this, or I've helped them reel it back,
Yeah.
right? Where they did it, and they're like, "Oh, this
Oh,
isn't what
yeah,
we
how
were."
about, like, doing it with no phase in even at least like, to
And I'm
start like, at
like,
least
"Oh, okay, well, we gotta roll this back now." So, and that's really painful, because they paid all the storage, all this inbound, all this
Right.
setup fee, all this bullshit, and then it failed,
There's
and
also
now
a
we
way
gotta
to
bring
do
our
that
inventory
there's
back.
a way to do that properly, which doesn't even get done, right? It's a phase in. It's like
Phase it
for
in,
you know what
phase
I
it
mean? Yeah, it's
out.
not
Yep,
like from day 1, we're gonna have 3 nodes and everything's gonna be humming. No amount of software in the world, like,
is
oh
gonna make
god,
that happen.
yeah, it's a
But
little
they're
triggering.
I get upset about it because here's how companies are selling it, right? They come in, they go, "Oh, well, let's look at your package, your order profile. We're just going to walk you through how you get sucked into this." Because this is almost as pat as the condo sales, right? So you walk in and your salesperson comes in. They go, "Well, let me look at your order profile." Right? It's the first thing they're going to ask you for. They're going to run an algorithm against it, some software against it, and they're going to go, "Look, your
Yeah, they might not even
customer
have SKU velocity, like you said, or
your
like,
p your
right.
orders, your predominantly your orders are on the East Coast and the West Coast. Not a shocker, everybody. Most orders are on the East Coast and the West Coast for
It's
most
electoral
companies.
college, anything yeah, I always laugh when,
It's just the
anything
population
I
density,
know.
okay?
They're like, "Our top 3 states are Texas, Florida, and California." I'm like, "Okay." Like,
So are everybody else's. It's called
right.
population density and disposable income. But that's the first thing they do. And then they go, look, if you had 2 warehouses, you would cut your zone skipping down by X
Right.
and you would save yourself 30% in shipping. Now, those numbers are real. They're real numbers, but
They
the
are.
shipper gets all excited about it. They
Well, I
jump
mean, 30
in.
30% of a dollar is much lower than 30% of $10,000,000 too, so it's even the percentages can be misleading.
The percentages can be misleading, right? But you jump in, right? But they don't
Yeah.
talk about now you got to pay setup fees for 2, 3 warehouses. Now you have to bifurcate and distribute your inventory and pay more shipping. Now you have to manage
You
3
have to have an
different.
ERP that supports it,
Yeah,
an
an
OMS that
ERP that
supports it.
supports multiple
Yeah.
locations and different velocity at different places at different times of the year. Like all of this
The
complexity
splitting order thing is very real for
and the
as it
splitting order
yeah,
thing
as it pertains to apparel, it can quickly go upside down.
quickly.
So
And let me
whoever's
tell you
listening to
something,
this,
shoes
yeah.
too, because nobody orders 1 pairs of shoes. Nope.
Oh gosh, yeah, think about the returns aspect of it. Now you have to have you have to have a
Where is it
central
going
node for
back to?
return, right? And so if you're shipping out returns East and West Coast, that's a problem. And then
Yeah.
they find and then they're like, they're like, "Oh, we need a 3PL just for
We
returns
need
in
a
the center of the country."
returns
Yeah.
3PL. Now we got a 4
Oh,
3PL.
I know.
Yeah. So, but what got them sucked in, and I'm telling you now, listen to me, my Moody's. What got you sucked in was that cost on the savings cost on shipping.
For sure. And this idea that customers need their stuff in 2 days or
That you're gonna
whatever.
be able to get
Yeah,
it to them faster. Yeah. This
sure.
concept that you'll get it to them faster.
The same companies that make those decisions are also the ones that tend to use, like, low-cost parcel carriers with crappy service sometimes, though, so that's the other problem is that, if I was setting up 2 nodes personally, I'd probably go with the mainline carriers and pay zone 1, 2, and 3 with FedEx or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the other, like, these decisions tend to be related. Like these surface level cost decisions tend to be compounded with even more, maybe let's just call it not ideal decisions,
Yeah,
which is
with less than
y-
ideal decisions.
using a lower cost carrier in the
Yep, a
right.
suboptimal carrier. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And run so you have to run the total numbers from top to bottom if you're gonna make this decision. You cannot just look at the shipping costs and say, "Oh,
right.
everything else is gonna stay the same, and we're your everything will increase across the board."
100%. I
Yeah,
agree.
don't do it. So, but before we leave the Moody's, when should you start thinking about multiple nodes? Because obviously some companies do it, right?
I mean, if I had to throw like specifics on it, I tend to start to see around 750 orders a day and up,
Yep.
in with a product that weighs over 4 pounds.
Okay.
That
There you
does
go.
not that does not have a ton of eaches in it.
Yeah. That has
That also
probably a
has a
warning
low that
line.
also has a lower SKU count as a profile. I mean, the list is endless. It's this will be the clip. The list of actual things I'm like, "Okay, that's," but you also don't wanna have 10,000 SKUs and so I don't know.
But
It's
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 shocking how many companies out
I'm
there
sorry.
do
I
have
just keep thinking
limited
about the
SKUs.
I know, I just keep thinking about the next thing that is, like, problematic for multiple nodes.
Yeah. But
I really
if you know what you're gonna ship, another one that's great for multiple
Kim,
nodes with
every company that I know that it works for has less than 100 SKUs.
that's what I'm gonna say. The other thing it works for is subscription.
Yes, with strong forecasting and low SKU count.
Yeah.
Low SKU count, strong forecasting, subs, probably product that weighs more than a few pounds, probably has a low return rate. These are all, like, attractive things for multi-node.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're not
There we
doing
go.
those, you need to be thinking why you wanna do multi-node. Don't believe that you need multi-node because your multi-node provider told you you need multi-node.
Yeah, yeah. They got a lot of space to sell across their network, and it looks so good.
I got 15 warehouses for you, baby. All right, Brian,
Alright,
as
good talk.
always, an amazing episode talking about what's going on in warehousing. Thank you for your candid, just advice. All
Good
right.
episode, al as always, Kim. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.